So how important is a cover letter in the recruitment process? Whether you like them or loathe them, they're still here, they're still around, and I suspect they will be for some time yet. Now, cover letters traditionally, back in my day, was something that you wrote as you sent it as part of the application process. However, a lot of the time, an employer, you might find in the job description that the employer will just say, send your CV to XYZ email address. And the majority of people do is just that. They just send their CV. However, as a hiring manager, what you're expecting is to see within that email a little bit more than attached is my CV. So even an email is now formed as part of that cover letter. It doesn't have to be a formal letter that is attached to your email along with your CV. So your cover letter is your first introduction to the hiring manager. Think about it like it's a movie trailer. So it gives your hiring managers an insight into what they're going to see in the CV. Now, what the majority of job seekers do is they just regurgitate what is already in their CV. And I know once I click open, I know what I'm going to see in your CV, right? So I want you to entice me. And to do that, some of the key things that you need to do in order to stand out is to really, one is to address it to a person. So move away from there to whom it may concern, or dear sir, or dear madam. Do a little bit of digging. And this comes down to the earlier course where we talked about researching your employer in the job description, because here you can get onto Google, for example. So if the person's name is not mentioned in the job description, but generally it might say that this role reports into the head of whatever department, then get onto Google and just put head of the department at, and then you put in the name of the company, and you may find that that head of department will come up. If not, get onto LinkedIn, and again, go and search for the company itself, and then you can search for employees, and you might be able to see who is head of that department. And if you're not seeing anything on LinkedIn, go onto the company website, go to the About Us page or the Meet the Team page, and see if you can see who is the head of the relevant department. Failing all of that, just pick up the phone and call and ask for the name of that person. But ultimately what you're trying to do is to just get a name, a point of contact. And then your first opening sentence, this is where you can get a little bit more creative than the regular I am writing to apply for blah. So for example, your opening line might begin with, I am known amongst my colleagues and friends as the person who can whip up a dish of calm in the middle of a storm. My two magic ingredients: respect and kindness, just two of the values we both share, which is why I feel I am the best person for the role of head of customer services. So in that example, you see you're talking about your strengths, you've got a bit of your personality, and you're identifying the role itself, and you're also letting them know there's two things that you guys have in common: respect and kindness. So in the worksheet, there's a couple of more examples of different ways in which you can open up your cover letter. The second thing you want to do, especially when it comes to the meat in between, if you think about your opening line as your first slice of bread on a sandwich, this bit is your filling. So in this sense, you want to look at the job description and you want to pick out maybe a mix of skills and responsibilities, just 2 to 3 that are like definites, that you cannot get this job unless you can demonstrate that you have them. So go through the job description and find at least 2 to 3. And then you want to look at your CV. And then you want to think about your 2 to 3 experiences and skills that match up with those examples that you've picked in the job description. And then the third step is to write a summary. And when I say a summary, just write how you have demonstrated those skills and experiences in your past role. And at this time, there's no word count. I say that cautiously. Don't be writing a novel, but don't worry too much about having to write it in a short paragraph. Because after you've written it, your next step is to try to write that same sentence, that same paragraph in a tweet. So if you were tweeting those 2 to 3 examples that you've given and you only had 240, 250 characters, what would be your essential words that you would put in that tweet? Now, the reason that I get you to do this is it helps you cut out all of the waffle and it makes you get straight to the point and be very succinct. So the final part of the cover letter, if you think about it being that final layer of bread in your sandwich, is your closing line. Now, more often than not, what people tend to do is close with, "I'm looking forward to hearing from you." Nothing wrong with that, but we're about daring to be different and creating cover letters that stand out and being courageous. So let's see what we can do differently. For example, you might close with, "I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to discuss further how my skills and experiences align with your requirements." So in that, it's about a partnership. It's about, I'm bringing something to the table that meets what you need. Let's have a conversation about it. And finally, as you're signing off, just pop your mobile number at the bottom of your signature. Just makes it easier for the hiring manager to call you when they need to without having to dip into your CV. Now, don't worry if you haven't managed to capture everything that I have said in the video. You can look at the worksheet and we go through it all there in more detail, and there's time for you to practice all of the exercises.